Recording in. We continue with the 27th chapter of the book of Divrei Hayamim. At the end of yesterday's chapter, we had the death of the previous king, and now it is time for Yotam to officially take reign. I say officially because his father, Uzziah, was stricken with leprosy for overstepping his bounds, trying to be sort of a Kohen and offer incense in the temple. And Yotam was sort of running the country, we're told, but did not try to usurp, didn't try to take the throne. So officially he becomes king here in 27:1 of Divrei Hayamim ben 25 shana Yotam b'malko, v'sheish esrei shana malach b'Yerushalayim v'shem imo Yerusha bat Tzadok. So Yotam is 25 when he becomes king. He reigns for a not a very long period, 16 years in Jerusalem, a young death. And his his name was Yerusha, the daughter of Tzadok. Vayas hayashar be'enei Adonai kechol asher asa Uzziyahu aviv, rak lova el heichal Adonai v'od ha'am mashchitim. He did which was pleasing, which was right to God, in God's the perspective, just as his father had done, but he didn't enter the temple of the Lord, right? Uzziah had been doing well, and he tried to offer, his Gavali bow. He thought he was this great dude, and he tried to take on perhaps the role of kahuna, of the priest. Perhaps he was even doing it for the right intentions, but he went too far out of his lane. That's the opposite of who Yotam was. Yotam did not do that. He didn't go to the temple of the Lord, try to take over. And people, unfortunately, were still acting corruptly. Not everybody was listening. Idolatry was fairly rampant. Yotam is trying to do the best he can. We'll tell you about some of the things that he does besides that. He built the upper gate of the house of God. He also built extensively on the Ophel wall. Ve'arim bana bahar Yehuda uve Charashim bana biraniot umigdalim. He built towns in the hill countries of Yehuda, and in the woods he built fortresses and towers. Vu nilcham Elimelech bnei Amon, vayechazak aleihem, vayitnu lo bnei Amon bashana hi mea kikar kesef, v'aseret alafim korim chitim usorim, aseret alafim, zot heshivu lo bnei Amon uvashana hashenit vashlishit. He did go to battle. He went to battle against the Ammonites. Ammonites have been fighting with the kingdom of Yehuda for many years. At times, the kingdom of Yehuda suppresses them, at other times they don't. He is successful in battle, which is not a great surprise, being that he is following the words of God, and that generally in this book and in this time period, it was the way to be successful in battle. So he fought the king of the Ammonites, and he defeated them, and they gave him what must have been a very, very large amount of tribute, 100 talents of silver, 10,000 kor of wheat, 10,000 kor of barley, and this is what they did the first year, the second year, the third year. Yotam was strong. Why was he able to be chazak? Because he had the derech Hashem. He followed the path of God. He didn't overstep his bounds. V'yeter divrei Yotam v'chol milchomatav udrachav hinam ktuvim al sefer malchei Yisrael v'Yehuda. The events of Yotam's reign, his battles, how he behaved, are recorded in the book of Kings in Israel and Yehuda. Ben esrim v'chamesh shana b'malcho v'sheis esrei shana malach b'Yerushalayim. Same pasuk we had earlier. He was 25 when he reigned. And when he became king, and he reigned for 16 years. Vayishkav Yotam ma'avotav. Yotam passes away. He's buried in the city of David, and his son Achaz takes over for him, reigning over the people of Yehuda. And this is the end of his reign. It doesn't say here he's buried in the Kever Melachim, but we haven't had that in some generations. Maybe that's no longer being done. Maybe that it didn't want to say these things about him. Now we have a similar, of course, story that's told to us in the book of Melachim, which is not such a surprise. Both of them are very, very short. He has a very similar. In Melachim, it emphasizes more campaigns, and the tone here is religion, and therefore he's victorious. Talks really about his faithfulness, his achievements, his strength. Interestingly, means God at a certain point to do. I'm going to even have the role of the Kohen. He was about oaths, he was about strength. We could say that Yotam was more about being Tam. Tam can mean perfect, can mean blameless. It can also sort of connote content. And that's the way that Yotam was. He lives up to his name. He's upright. He's mighty, and he doesn't overstep his bounds. He has integrity, and that integrity, by the way, is shown something I mentioned in the beginning of the chapter. He becomes officially king at age 25, but he's already serving as king. We're told in the previous chapter when his father got this leprosy from coming into the Beit HaMikdash, and then had to be was secluded for the rest of his life. But Yotam was Tam. He had great integrity. He was the opposite of his father. He didn't grab the throne at this point. Was he was the steward for his father, who was still officially the king. He respected boundaries, and so it was sort of this apprenticeship that he had as stewarding of the temple, however we want to put it. But he did not grab power, and maybe because he saw God as sort of blameless and God as being sort of complete and in God's role. Maybe that's why I want to understand the word Yotam, that he tried to be Tom in his life. So his story and what we know about him is very brief, and the chapters about his father, the chapters about his son, are much longer than his chapter, and it's seemingly, if we want to sort of understand it in a certain way, it's because he was Tom. He was quiet. He wasn't grandiose. He goes to battle. He does do some great building campaigns, but he's not overstepping his bounds. He's not doing things that go well beyond. His son Achaz is going to be a very bad king. He's ochez. He grabs things. He moves away in a he grabs a tree in a time. We could sense the idea of being flashy. The idea of this that's able right. We're at this time we're getting to the point. We don't have it because this book really talks about Malchut Yehuda. We're getting to the point where Malchut Yisrael is just getting into shambles and rebellions and revolts and kings lasting for a year or two. And so the stability that is provided by Yotam, and with the name Tam, is very significant and important at this point in time, keeping the kingdom of Yehuda, returning it back to a place where God is at the center. Unfortunately, as happens very often in this book, and then just generally, is just because you've done a great job doesn't mean your successor, even if it's your genetic and biological successor, doesn't mean that they will, sadly, that they will follow in your ways.